We need to practice. Hey Fuzzy Buddies, welcome back. We have a different mic setup today, so hopefully things go smoothly because y'all saw what happened last week. But this week was really good in terms of puzzling because I got to puzzle 3 times this week. Actually 4, but one time I didn't record. The first puzzle that I speed ran was that Peruvian market puzzle that I did like a year or two ago. You guys, I'll have it linked. But yeah, I got to speed puzzle 3 times, which was pretty great. So let me show you what I did. Okay, the first puzzle that I got to do was called, honestly, I'm not even sure if this has a name. It says Puzzle On. I'm not sure if that's the name of the puzzle. We're going to go with that. But it's Puzzle On. It's from Page Publications. It is a 500-piece puzzle. And yeah, I was really excited to do this one because it's pretty similar to, it's like a similar vibe to that one that was in Worlds this past year, the Cute Kawaii Chaos, the one that like everybody went crazy over. So when I saw this at the Puzzle Swap a few weeks ago, I was like, I have to get my hands on this one. Oh, also all 3 of the puzzles that I did are 500 pieces and they all came from that Puzzle Swap. So yeah, as soon as I opened this bag, I knew I was in for something interesting because the pieces automatically felt very cheap. They were so thin, like 2 sheets of paper with like a little bit of gloss on top of them, which is really disappointing because I really, really liked the image. I was having a lot of fun while I was doing the puzzle, and the print honestly looked really good on the pieces, though they were a little bit shiny. But the problem was with the hold. The hold was 0. You guys know our scale. It's 1 to 5, 0 to 5, something like that. The hold on these pieces, it wasn't even 0. It was like -2. How is it negative? Because the pieces were actually repelling each other. I was feeling pretty good as the puzzle was getting started. Like, I was having not too much issue with finding like the pieces. I was picking out different sections, putting things together. Things were going well. But then, you know how typically when you're doing a puzzle, like the more you do the puzzle, like the more secure everything feels. But for whatever reason, the more pieces I put in the puzzle, the more they like started to repel each other. Like they just refused to hold. And because they already didn't fit together well, I couldn't really move sections. And then when I did have the pieces kind of where I wanted them, and then I would try to put new pieces in, they literally just would not stick. I have no clue what that was about. So it was really, really, really frustrating. I was spending a lot of time like re-putting pieces together after I'd already assembled them. So that definitely slowed me down. It was starting to get really frustrating, especially because I felt like I was doing pretty well, but then I kept having to go back and redo little sections. But eventually I did end up giving up and just kind of letting the pieces fall where they may. I did make sure that the pieces that I placed did actually go where I put them, but I was no longer concerned with actually like smushing the pieces in because they weren't going to stay anyways. So by the end of it, you can see that the pieces were like, some of them were kind of like bowed or bowed in the middle and kind of not bent, but they just, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But I have mixed feelings because I got what is actually kind of my personal best time to date for a first time 500-piece puzzle. My final time was 1 hour, 27 minutes, and 6 seconds, which is pretty good for me. That's pretty darn good. And honestly, I feel like my time really would have been more like an hour 15, if not maybe like an hour 10 or so, because I spent so much time re-putting pieces together. So that was the first one. An interesting experience because it was like it went really well in one sense, but then also it was awful. So that was the first one. The second puzzle that I did was Cakes by Gallison, and the artist on this one is Cressida Bell. Cressida Bell. I don't know. I was so excited to do this puzzle. I thought that the image looked so fun, and I love that it had like the separate, different separate little cakes. Everything had their own separate patterns and designs, so I was really excited to give this one a chance with speedrunning. I got started. I pretty much did the same thing with all of them. I did my full flip and just kind of started pulling out different sections, like different colors and patterns that stuck out to me. With the cakes specifically, I just kind of picked a pattern and picked out all the pieces I could find and assembled it as best as I could. I started off with the black and white, and then from there, I just kind of picked whatever caught my eye. And yeah, it was really fun. Actually, all these puzzles are all only 2 ins and 2 outs, which you guys know is not my favorite. However, with Gallison, Their pieces are like a little bit wonky. Not wonky. They're just kind of like curved and swerved. So you don't really have any false fits, which is good. And then also the patterns were so all over the place that you couldn't really have false fits anyways. So I had a really good time with this one. Honestly, not a whole lot to say about it. It was a little bit glossy, but it was workable. And my time for this one ended up being 1 hour, 29 minutes, and 59 seconds. So just under an hour and a half. So once again, I was doing pretty well. I was on like a pretty good little streak. And so when I got to this third puzzle, I was like, okay, I'm not entirely sure if this would really be great to speed puzzle just because of the design of it. But like I said, I was on a roll. I was feeling good. So I said, why not? Let's give it a try. So the third puzzle that I did is called Well-Trained Dogs. This one is a mud puppy puzzle. I'm pretty sure that this is the first mud puppy puzzle I've done. So I was excited again at the puzzle swap when I saw it. I was like, it's a pretty cute image and I wanted to give mud puppy a try. I was a little bit hesitant because it's kind of like the same colors over and over again. There's a bunch of like pink and green and blue and yellow, just kind of all spread out, and like orangey. So I was kind of concerned, and then the white, because there's a bunch of just like white and black dogs. So I was kind of concerned that when it came to like sorting, it would be kind of hard because it all kind of looks similar. But honestly, it wasn't too bad. The shirts and the pants of the dogs all kind of have different patterns, so that was pretty easy. But then again, when it came down to like the pink sections and then like the black and white of the dogs, it did get a little bit confusing to see like what piece went to what dog, but it wasn't too bad. As far as my impression of Mud Puppy goes, I will say that the cut of the pieces seems to be pretty much almost exactly the same as Gallison, or at least very, very similar when I was doing the puzzle. So I'm not sure if they have like the same manufacturers or what the case may be, but I could feel myself getting like a little bit burnt out towards like the middle-ish end of the puzzle, especially because I kind of looked around and I saw I only had like a bunch of those similar, samey types of pieces, those pinks and then the whites and the blacks. And then the background pieces are all that like periwinkle shade. And there are some things in the background, like those little splashes that are in the background, but also those are all the same. And so when I got done with all like the big sections of the dogs, and then I kind of only had those background pieces left, it did take a while to get through it because it all looked the same. My final time for this one, I think I didn't write it down. I thought I had it, but it'll be on screen. But my final time was like 1 hour, 30 minutes, and I think like 50 something seconds. So again, right within like the hour and a half mark. Technically, if I had been in competition, the time would have been cut off. So I think I had maybe like 15 pieces left or something at an hour and a half. But still, I feel pretty good about that. So ultimately, this was a really good week for speed puzzling for me. Now, I do fully recognize that all three of these puzzles are like exactly my type of puzzle. All three of them have clearly defined, clearly outlined objects with like different patterns, different colors. So it's very easy to sort and to pick and place. So I do know that these all really like play to my preferences and like what I'm good at. Will this translate to me having better times with like a landscape? I don't know, but if nothing else, this was a confidence boost because I feel pretty good. So yeah, Nationals is coming. We have less than 2 months. In fact, it's really giving like 7 weeks or so until Nationals, which feels crazy. I first learned about Nationals back in like October, and the end of March felt like I had 3 years to practice. And so now that it's next month, I feel like I feel like we need to practice. So I am glad that I got to puzzle so many times this week. I'm hoping that leading up to the competition, I will be able to speed puzzle at least twice a week and hopefully keep feeling a bit more confident, hopefully start getting my times down, especially for different types of puzzles that usually do take me a bit longer. So we'll see. But anywho's, that's what I have for you this week. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope the audio sounds good. If you like this video, make sure you like this video and subscribe. We're on our way to 500 subscribers, and I'm so happy to have you all here. Make sure you follow me on TikTok as well, and I will see you in my next video.